Chaos erupts in WWE Raw. Roman Reigns and CM Punk made their shocking returns on Raw, setting their sights on Seth Rollins and shaking up the main event scene. Is a massive showdown coming? Meanwhile, Rusev and Otis went to war in a brutal clash, and Jey Uso made waves with a surprise appearance that has everyone talking. In this video, we break down all the action from WWE Raw, the big returns, wild matches, crowd reactions, and what this means for the road ahead in WWE. You don't want to miss this. What happens when the foundations of WWE crack open in real time, live, unscripted chaos, thunderous ovations, and two of the most polarizing forces in pro wrestling history walk through that curtain on the same night? May 5, 2025, wasn't just another Monday night. It was a war cry. A power shift. A jolt to the spine of the WWE universe that nobody saw coming. Roman Reigns. CM Punk. Two names that define separate eras, standing in the same ring once again. Not to shake hands, not to team up, but to declare war. This wasn't a tease. This wasn't a nostalgia pop. This was the first domino. And just when fans thought it couldn't get any wilder, WWE doubled down. Rusev and Otis tore into each other in a brutal slugfest that left no doubt, the mid-card is done playing safe. Jey Uso? He made his presence known too, but not in the way anyone expected. So here's the deal, if you missed WWE Raw on May 5th, you didn't just miss a show. You missed a moment. The kind of moment that shifts storylines, sets WrestleMania wheels in motion, and draws a line in the sand between what WWE was and what it's about to become. Stay locked in, because in this video, we're breaking down every second of it, Reigns and Punk's returns, what they meant, why they happened now, and who's in their crosshairs. The surprise showdown between Rusev and Otis, a match that redefined Haas fight. Jey Uso's shocking moment, a move that might just fracture the locker room. And the bigger picture, what all this chaos is building toward. But first, let's rewind the clock to that opening pyro, that buzzing crowd in Phoenix, Arizona, and the first sign that something special was about to happen. Raw kicked off like any other night, but you could feel something simmering. The energy wasn't just hype, it was nervous, electric. Fans didn't know what was coming, but they knew something was. WWE's official channels had been silent. No teasers. No breaking news headlines. But backstage leaks from earlier that day hinted at a seismic shift. No one believed it. Until the music hit. Roman Reigns. The tribal chief. The needle mover. Back, after months off-screen following his WrestleMania defeat, stepping into Raw territory like a lion entering another jungle. The crowd didn't just react, they exploded. Not boos. Not cheers. Just raw volume. The kind of response that doesn't care if you love or hate the guy. Because you know you're witnessing something important. But he wasn't alone. Before Reigns could even finish his first sentence, the arena went dark. That static. That scratchy audio clip. The one that used to signal the voice of the voiceless. CM Punk. That's not hyperbole. That's not fantasy booking. That's what happened, live, on cable TV, with millions watching. You could see it in Reigns' eyes, confusion first, then something else. Not fear, not respect. Maybe something closer to recognition. Because when Punk walked down that ramp, he wasn't there for nostalgia. He wasn't there to cut a promo and leave. He was there for Rollins. Which is where things get messy. Because this wasn't a one-man return. It wasn't Punk or Reigns. It was both, occupying the same ring, breathing the same air, staring down the same champion, and setting the stage for something WWE hasn't had in a long, long time, an unpredictable future. That's the thing. WWE in recent years has been many things, thrilling, surprising, even frustrating. But for the first time in a long time, it feels dangerous again. And that's not all. Because while the main event picture was shifting, another war was erupting in the ring, and this one had fists, elbows, and spine-busters doing the talking. Rusev and Otis. Two powerhouses, no titles on the line, no grudge leading in, just two monsters proving a point in front of 15,000 screaming fans. If Reigns and Punk were the storm clouds, Rusev and Otis were the thunder. Then came Jey Uso, not with fists, but with presence. A moment that didn't need violence to shake the crowd. Just a look. Just a step toward the ring. Just a moment of silence that said, I see everything that's happening, and I'm choosing my side. So here's what you're about to get in this breakdown. We'll walk frame by frame through the return of Roman Reigns, from the music cue to his final stare down. We'll dissect CM Punk's shocking reappearance, his body language, what he didn't say, and why it matters. You'll get a front row seat to the Rusev vs. Otis carnage, who impressed, who needs a push, and what it means for the future of Raw's mid-card. We'll break down Jey Uso's mysterious move, and how it could affect alliances across brands. And finally, we'll talk theories: triple threat? Fatal four-way? Bloodline versus the world? But more than anything, we're going to answer the one question everyone's asking right now: what the hell is happening in WWE? And who's really in control? Stick around, because we're just getting started. It was 8:12 p.m. Eastern when the entire arena in Phoenix dimmed for just a second. Not a blackout, just a flicker, almost like WWE wanted to test the crowd's attention. And then, acknowledge me. Roman Reigns' theme, that deep, orchestral war march, blasted through the speakers, and instantly, the building shook. There was no delay in the crowd response. No moment of confusion. No hesitation. 15,000 people stood on instinct. Not because they were told to. Not because they were excited to cheer or boo. But because when a tribal leader walks through fire and returns, you watch. The WWE Universe knew what this meant. Roman Reigns hadn't been seen since WrestleMania 41, when Cody Rhodes finally finished the story and defeated him clean. Reigns walked out of that match without gold, without the bloodline at his side, and without a word. No post-match promo. No farewell. No social media statements. He was just gone. Until now. Roman didn't sprint. He didn't show fire. He walked. Slow. Calculated. His head slightly tilted down, but his eyes scanning the crowd. No smile. No smugness. Just presence. If this was 2020 Roman, freshly heel, just turning tribal chief, he would have smirked. In 2022, he would have raised the title and forced the crowd to acknowledge him. But this Roman? He didn't need a belt. He didn't need a stable. He didn't even need a microphone to make the world listen. By the time he entered the ring, the noise had settled into a low rumble. People weren't sure what version of Reigns they were looking at. And that's exactly what made it work. He wasn't back to resume a story. He was back to rewrite it. After soaking in the reaction, Roman raised the mic slowly. His first words weren't about titles. Not about the bloodline. Not about WrestleMania. Instead, he said, I stepped away to let the world breathe. And what did you all do? You choked on it. Boom. Just like that, the temperature changed. He went on, no one filled the shoes. Not Cody. Not Rollins. Not even the loudmouths behind the curtain. While I was gone, this place got soft, and now I'm here to toughen it back up. No smile. No wink. Just cold, controlled fury. He wasn't asking for his spot back, he was claiming it by force. This promo wasn't long, maybe 2 minutes total. But in Roman Reigns' world, that's a statement. He usually plays the long game, the slow burn. Not tonight. This was a Roman who'd been sitting with loss, with embarrassment, with silence, and came back more dangerous for it. Gone was the smug head of the table routine. Gone was the manipulative puppet master whispering in Jey and Jimmy's ears. This Roman didn't ask anyone to follow. He dared them not to. And it was that shift in tone that had the entire WWE universe leaning forward, wondering, is Roman Reigns still a heel, or something else entirely? It's hard to explain the energy in the building unless you've been in a crowd when a genuine megastar returns. It's not like a babyface pop. It's not like a heel heat boo. It's something closer to a pulse, a thud that you feel in your ribs. The fans didn't cheer like they do for Sami Zayn or LA Knight. They didn't boo like they do for Dominic Mysterio. They watched. In awe. In tension. In power. Because love him or hate him, Roman Reigns commands space. He's not a wrestler. He's a moment. And that's exactly what WWE gave us, not just a return, but a moment of gravity. Perhaps the most telling part of Reigns' return? There was no Paul Heyman. No Solo Sikoa. No Jimmy. No Jey. It was just Roman. He didn't ask where the bloodline was. He didn't demand their presence. He didn't seem to miss them at all. This wasn't a reunion. It was a purge. If anything, it looked like Roman was ready to leave the Empire behind, and build something even colder. The way he glanced at the ramp, the entrance, like he was daring someone to interrupt him, said it all. Roman wasn't here to reclaim his kingdom. He was here to burn it down and build a new one. Just as the camera cut back to commentary. Just when fans thought the segment might be wrapping up, Roman turned his attention toward the hard cam and said 2 words, Rollins, run. That's it. No elaboration. No story told. But in that sentence, every fan understood the threat. Why Rollins? Simple. With Cody now over on SmackDown, following the post-Mania draft, Rollins is the man on Raw. The World Heavyweight Champion. The face of the brand. And to Roman, that's unacceptable. This wasn't about avenging a loss. It wasn't about reclaiming the undisputed title. It was about control. And right now, Raw belongs to Seth. Roman just declared war. There are 2 ways to read Roman's appearance on Raw. He's there to shake things up, but not staying. A hit and run. A statement. He's made the jump. Reigns is done with SmackDown and has officially claimed Raw as his battlefield. And here's what makes this so intriguing, WWE hasn't confirmed anything. No brand switch. No press release. No commentary clarification. This is deliberate. They want fans guessing. Fantasy booking. Arguing online. And that's smart. Because uncertainty builds tension. And tension sells tickets. Roman versus Rollins seems like the obvious direction, but here's what's wild, Roman now exists outside the brand structure. And that opens up everything. Imagine these possibilities, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, 2 egos, 1 ring, no mercy. Roman versus Cody, Part 2, only this time, Roman's the one chasing. Roman versus Gunther, a dream match between 2 dominant powerhouses. Roman versus Jey Uso, final bloodline war. If Jey aligns with Punk or Rollins, the stakes explode. Reigns being brandless is more than a plot twist, it's a strategy. It makes him unpredictable. Dangerous. Uncontainable. Within 15 minutes of Reigns' appearance, Roman was trending #1 on X, Twitter, in the US, Canada, and the UK. Thousands of tweets hit the timeline per minute. Even wrestlers outside WWE commented. A few standout reactions at Wrestle Features. Roman Reigns just made Raw his yard again. No bloodline. No leash. Just power. At Fightful, CM Punk plus Roman Reigns on the same night? Raw just became must-watch again. At Sami Zayn, well, things just got interesting. YouTuber reaction videos were already popping up within the hour. Thumbnail titles ranged from Roman's back to Raw just broke the internet. That's not hype. That's relevance. Let's pause here and think about the psychology. WWE didn't bring back Roman with a surprise spear or a sneak attack. They let him walk down that ramp alone, confident, unbothered. They let him speak. And what he said wasn't loud, but it was lethal. This is a man with something to prove. A man who had it all, lost it all, and came back not looking to reclaim the throne, but to burn down the whole palace and build a fortress. Roman Reigns didn't just return to Raw. He returned as a man with nothing left to lose. And that makes him the most dangerous version we've ever seen. It happened just 12 minutes after Roman Reigns left the ring. Seth Rollins was backstage in a live interview segment, cutting a typically fiery promo. The cameras were rolling, and the interviewer had just asked about Reigns' return. Before Seth could finish answering, static. Buzz. Cut to black. A heartbeat. Then, the sound that changed everything, that harsh, gritty remix of Cult of Personality. It wasn't a remix for the sake of sound. It was deliberate. Broken. Distorted. As if WWE was warning us, this isn't the same CM Punk you remember. And when he walked out, the arena didn't react. They erupted. No mic. No pyro. No video package. Just CM Punk. Wearing street clothes. No ring gear. No production polish. Just a black hoodie, black boots, and a look that screamed one thing: I don't want applause. I want blood. He didn't do the classic arms raised pose on the ramp. He didn't slap hands with fans. He didn't even smirk. He walked. Purposeful. Calm. Focused. Straight to the ring. This wasn't a return. It was a mission. Everyone expected a pipe bomb. A shoot promo. Some scathing monologue calling out Triple H, Vince, Rollins, Reigns, the works. But Punk didn't touch the mic. He entered the ring, stood dead center, and stared directly into the camera. Then he turned his head to the Titantron, where WWE replayed Roman Reigns' earlier warning: Rollins, run. Cue the shift. The camera snapped back to Punk, whose expression hadn't changed. He simply mouthed, I'm not running. 2 seconds. 2 words. 0 audio. And somehow, that said more than any 10-minute promo ever could. Let's break this down, because this isn't just storytelling, it's chess. CM Punk is known as the guy who talks circles around everyone. His mic skills are his sword. He cuts, slashes, and stabs with words. But this Punk didn't speak. Why? Because he didn't come back to talk. He came back to fight. The silence was the promo. This is a CM Punk who doesn't need to prove anything with language. He's past persuasion. He's moved into vengeance. And in a company where everyone screams to be heard, the most dangerous man in the room is the one who doesn't say a word. Social media exploded, again. Within 5 minutes, CM Punk and Cult of Personality trended worldwide. Reaction videos flooded YouTube with titles like, Punk is back, and he said nothing. The silent promo that changed Raw forever. Roman plus Punk equals Raw chaos unlocked. Some fans speculated that this wasn't just a return, it was an act of war. At WrestleNews, Punk didn't cut a promo. He cut a statement. Absolute masterclass. At Wrestling Stands, I'm calling it now, Punk and Reigns are playing chess with Rollins caught in the middle. The wild part? WWE wanted this. They engineered the silence. No words. No music fade out. No commentary. Just a slow fade to black after Punk left the ring, like an indie film scene that lets you sit in the tension. That's the question everyone asked immediately. Why would CM Punk return on the same night as Roman Reigns? Coincidence? No chance. WWE doesn't play moments like this by accident. This was timing with surgical precision. Let's look at the logic. Rollins is champion. Reigns just declared war. Punk walked into the fire instead of away from it. The message. If Roman wants control, he'll have to earn it, not from Seth, but from Punk. And suddenly, the narrative shifted. Rollins isn't just the hunted. He's the battlefield. The beautiful thing about Punk's return is that it didn't pick a side. He didn't high-five fans. He didn't attack anyone. He didn't threaten Reigns or challenge Rollins. But he stood between them. Symbolically. And that makes him something WWE desperately needs right now, an X Factor. Not a babyface. Not a villain. Just a presence. A disruptor. The guy who lights matches and walks away while everyone else burns. Backstage after the segment, Rollins cut a short promo on WWE Digital, "Let 'em come. Punk, Roman, whoever wants smoke, I'm not running. I'm the world champion. I'll die on this hill." And here's what's brilliant, Rollins has no idea who to aim at. Reigns is behind him. Punk is circling. Cody is gone. The Authority is silent. It's Rollins versus the world. And Punk knows it. Punk's silence was more than a moment, it was a checkmate. The kind of move that forces the entire roster to freeze and reconsider what side of the fight they're on. Fans with long memories know this, CM Punk and Roman Reigns do have history, just not in the way most newer fans expect. Back in 2013 to 2014, Punk was the established veteran. Roman was the muscle of the Shield. They crossed paths, but never clashed. Punk left before Reigns became the guy. This is their first real collision course. And it's 10 years overdue. Now, both men are legends. Both men are symbols. But only one can lead. And that's where the story gets real. That's the question no one can answer yet. Because the way WWE staged it, it's possible this isn't about Punk versus Reigns at all. It could be Punk plus Reigns, a mega heel alliance built on ego, resentment, and chaos. Two alphas crushing the system together. But more likely? This is the start of a triangle of tension. Punk versus Reigns. Reigns versus Rollins. Rollins versus Punk. 3 legacies. 1 show. No alliances. It's a battle of philosophies, not just fists. Quick detail that many missed, Punk's hoodie had 3 small patches sewn on the front pocket, 1 red X, 1 black lightning bolt, 1 cracked mirror icon. Each symbol means something. The red X is a callback to his straight-edge lifestyle and old ROH persona, suggesting he's going back to his roots. The lightning bolt is his iconic logo. The cracked mirror? That's new. A cracked mirror symbolizes reflection, distortion, and transformation. This isn't the same CM Punk. This is a sharpened version, someone who's been broken, who's seen behind the curtain, and who's ready to destroy illusions. As Punk exited the arena, cameras caught fans still standing in their seats, stunned. This wasn't just a return. It was a reset. Punk didn't challenge for a belt. He didn't ask for a rematch. He just stood in the middle of chaos, calm, and walked away without giving answers. And that's what makes him the most dangerous piece on the board right now. Because while Roman Reigns demands to be acknowledged, CM Punk doesn't need to ask. He just shows up, and the whole room stops breathing. Are Roman Reigns and CM Punk about to form the most dominant alliance WWE has seen since the Authority, or is this just the calm before an inevitable war? That's the question every single WWE fan, analyst, and locker room insider is asking after May 5, 2025. Because while both returns were powerful on their own, what's more intriguing, and more dangerous, is the collision course they seem to be sharing. They didn't attack each other. They didn't speak about one another. But they shared a night. They shared an agenda. They both came after the same target, Seth Rollins. Coincidence? Absolutely not. Roman Reigns and CM Punk are not friends. They've never teamed up. Never shared a faction. Never had a handshake moment of mutual respect. But they do share one thing, control. Each man has, at one point in time, ruled WWE in his own image: Punk, through rebellion; Reigns, through dominance. And now both are back in the same ecosystem, without allies, without titles, and with nothing but power on their minds. That's not an alliance. That's a collision waiting to happen. As unlikely as it seems, there's actually a logical case for a temporary alliance between the two. Let's look at what unites them. They both despise Seth Rollins. Punk has history, deep, personal, public resentment. Reigns views Rollins as a phony king ruling a throne he never earned. They both see WWE as weak without them. Punk believes the company sold out its soul. Reigns believes it lost its backbone when he stepped away. They both operate outside the system. They don't need GMs, brands, or titles to matter. Their mere presence changes the power structure. And if they see value in burning the system down first, together, before tearing each other apart, then WWE might be in deeper trouble than it realizes. This would be more than a heel faction. It'd be a corporate coup. That said, here's the counterpoint: Roman Reigns and CM Punk cannot coexist for long. Punk hates egos bigger than his. Roman refuses to share spotlight with anyone who doesn't acknowledge him. Even when they don't speak, their body language says everything. Reigns doesn't flinch. Punk doesn't blink. They don't walk behind one another, they walk alone, even when headed to the same ring. It's oil and fire. You can pour them into the same pan, but eventually, something's going to explode. The alliance, if it forms, would be fragile, conditional, and probably doomed. Let's play out some realistic, and wildly entertaining, directions WWE could take this. 1. Tag Team of Terror. Roman and Punk agree to take out Rollins together. For one night only, they tag up in a main event and absolutely dismantle a babyface team. It ends with a stare down, no betrayal, just tension. The message? We're coming, and then we're coming for each other. 2. Triple Threat Showdown at SummerSlam. Reigns, Rollins, and Punk all vie for the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk accuses Roman of still being corporate's favorite monster. Roman calls Punk a relic who ran from the grind. Seth? He's just trying to hold on. 3. The Swerve, Punk turns on Reigns. For weeks, it looks like Punk is helping Roman. Then at a critical moment, maybe at Clash at the Castle or MITB, Punk ambushes Roman, cuts a scathing promo about cult leaders and cowards, and the feud begins. 4. Bloodline 2.0. With Punk? The least likely, but most chaotic. Punk aligns with a new version of the Bloodline, possibly with Solo Sikoa, or a new heel stable. He says he doesn't follow Reigns, he replaces him. Suddenly, Roman is the outsider, and Punk is the real voice of the locker room. The brilliance of this whole storyline is that it's not really about Reigns versus Punk, at least not yet. It's about Rollins being trapped between them. He's not scared. He's not weak. But he's vulnerable. And Punk and Reigns smell that. Both men think they should be champion. Both think Rollins is in their seat. And neither of them is going to wait in line. This puts Rollins in a place he thrives, under siege. But how long can he keep it up before one of them finally strikes? A war like this doesn't stay in the main event. When Punk and Roman collide or unite, the ripple effects hit everyone. Kevin Owens might side with Rollins, they've shared wars and respect. Solo Sikoa might try to realign with Reigns. Or defect to Punk's revolution. Jey Uso is the biggest wild card. His silent appearance on Raw could hint at allegiance, betrayal, or leadership. This isn't just a rivalry. It's a civil war, and WWE's entire locker room will feel the heat. What's fascinating is how divided fans already are. Some want the mega faction. Give us Punk and Roman as the twin towers of destruction. Others want the war. Punk versus Roman has never happened. Don't waste that on tag matches. Then there's the Chaos crowd. Triple threat, MITB interference, backstage brawls, just burn it all. WWE has done something rare here. They've created a dynamic where any direction feels valid, and nobody can predict what's next. That's not just good storytelling. That's must-watch TV. Think about what their entrances said without words. Roman entered first, demanding attention. Punk entered later, rejecting attention. Roman issued a threat. Punk answered it without speaking. Both men looked at Rollins, but never at each other. That's not random. That's deliberate framing. This isn't a rivalry about hate. It's a rivalry about legacy. Who is the true alpha? Who owns this era? Who walks into the Hall of Fame first? It's not about gold anymore. It's about immortality. Roman Reigns didn't come back to reclaim what he lost. CM Punk didn't return to relive his past. They both came back to take over the present. And as of May 5, 2025, WWE no longer belongs to champions. It belongs to forces, wild, unpredictable forces that operate on ego, vengeance, and power. Reigns and Punk are circling the same prize. But they're not friends. They're lions in the same cage. And Seth Rollins? He's standing dead center, with the gold around his waist and a target on his back. Seth Rollins didn't ask for this. He didn't ask for Roman Reigns to return with fire in his eyes. He didn't ask for CM Punk to re-emerge from the shadows with a silent threat. And he definitely didn't ask to become the prize in a war between two titans of wrestling ego. But here he is. The World Heavyweight Champion. The centerpiece of Raw. And suddenly, the most hunted man in WWE. If Reigns is the storm and Punk is the fire, Rollins is the one holding the damn umbrella and trying to survive. Just minutes after Punk's silent return, WWE cameras cut backstage. Seth Rollins was in the locker room, pacing, breathing heavy, but not shaken. And then, standing directly in front of the camera, he said 3 words, "Let's go then." No bravado. No theatrics. Just calm defiance. That was Rollins' greatest move. He didn't overreact. He didn't look scared. He stood tall, knowing full well that his next few weeks were going to be hell. Because whether it's Roman Reigns or CM Punk, or both, Seth Rollins knows what this is really about. It's not about respect. It's not about belts. It's about legacy. And he's not giving it up. Rollins isn't a placeholder champion. He's not some transitional figure WWE put the belt on until Cody or Reigns came back. He's earned this spot, with a year of consistent bangers, live promos, crowd connection, and storytelling that turned him from the guy who turned on the Shield to the guy carrying the entire company on his back. WrestleMania 40, retained the title in a war with Drew McIntyre. SummerSlam 2024, defeated Finn Balor in a Match of the Year candidate. Survivor Series. Led Team Raw to victory. Elimination Chamber 2025, survived 5 other top stars. And now that he's on top, everyone wants the crown. Punk. Reigns. Maybe even more lurking in the shadows. But Rollins knows how this works. I bled too much to let 2 ghosts take what I built. That's what he said in a WWE Digital exclusive the night after Raw. The message? This isn't their kingdom anymore. It's his. To understand the weight of Roman Reigns targeting Seth Rollins, we have to go back. All the way to 2014. When Rollins betrayed the Shield with a chair shot that shattered the group, and the trust, forever. Yes, they've teamed up since. Yes, they've feuded. But they've never resolved it. Rollins beat Reigns at Royal Rumble 2022 by DQ, wearing the old Shield gear and getting inside Roman's head. Roman never forgot. And Rollins knows that Roman's return isn't about titles, it's about control. Roman doesn't see Rollins as a worthy champion. He sees him as a glitch. A mistake. A guy playing king with a paper crown. This isn't about belts for Reigns. It's about exposure, proving Rollins is nothing without the Shield, nothing without backup, nothing compared to the tribal chief. And Rollins? He's heard it all before. Now he's ready to shut it down. Rollins and Punk have barely crossed paths in ring. But their heat is real. In 2023, during one of Punk's returns, Rollins was caught on camera calling Punk a cancer. He didn't walk it back. Punk never responded directly, but the tension lingered. Especially with Rollins being seen as the chosen one of Triple H's regime. A position Punk once held, and ultimately rejected. Rollins is everything Punk hates, clean-cut. Corporate-friendly. The face of WWE. And now, with Rollins as champion, Punk doesn't have to say a word. He can just exist, and that puts pressure on Seth to validate his status. Rollins isn't scared of Punk's mic. He's scared that the crowd might believe him. Because when CM Punk talks, the world listens. And Rollins can't afford to lose control of the narrative. One of the most underrated aspects of Seth Rollins' current run is his psychological evolution. He's not the architect anymore. Not the Messiah. Not the Joker-style lunatic with wild suits. He's evolved into something more dangerous, a true believer in his own hype, and in his responsibilities. Rollins now believes he is the standard-bearer of WWE. Not because he's arrogant, but because he's earned it. Match by match. Crowd by crowd. Promo by promo. So when Reigns returns and dismisses him with 2 words. When Punk returns and says nothing at all. Rollins doesn't lash out. He absorbs it. Like a furnace. Building heat for when the match finally happens. Let's be honest, Seth Rollins has done almost everything in WWE. Grand Slam champion. Royal Rumble winner. WrestleMania main eventer. Shield original. Face of Monday Night Raw. But here's what he hasn't done. Beat Roman Reigns and CM Punk in the same era, at the same time. This is his defining test. If he survives this storm, or better yet, beats them both, he cements himself as more than a utility player, more than a workhorse, more than the guy WWE relies on when everyone else leaves. He becomes the guy history will remember as the glue. The one who carried the company through ego, exodus, and chaos, and never cracked. There's one possible twist fans are whispering about. What if Rollins does crack? What if the pressure of carrying WWE while being targeted by its 2 most iconic rebels pushes him too far? He's already shown moments of tension. Slight stutters in promos. Minor hesitations. He's not losing it, yet. But if WWE wants to play the long game, they could slowly unravel him, missed matches. Botched calls. Increasing paranoia. Refusing help from allies like Owens or Zayn. And then, snap. Suddenly, Punk or Reigns doesn't beat him, Rollins beats himself. Would WWE dare? That's the intrigue. Here's where it gets even more layered. Seth Rollins is wildly over right now. Chants of burn it down fill arenas. Fans sing his entrance like a rock concert. He gets babyface pops every week. But CM Punk and Roman Reigns don't play fair. They're not just competing in-ring. They're competing in the court of public opinion. Punk brings fire and rebellion. Reigns brings history and power. Rollins brings stability and work ethic. Which one wins over the crowd? It's possible fans begin to lean toward Punk, not because they hate Rollins, but because chaos is more fun. WWE fans love disorder. And Rollins? He represents order. That makes him vulnerable, in more ways than one. Right now, Seth Rollins is in the fight of his life. Not just against 2 all-time greats. Not just to hold on to a title. But to prove that this is his era, not theirs. That he's not just a bridge between generations, but the foundation of the current one. He's got the belt. He's got the crowd. He's got the record. Now, he needs one more thing, a defining moment, where he doesn't survive Reigns and Punk. He conquers them. Because that's what real champions do. Before May 5, 2025, the WWE main event picture had a clear shape. Seth Rollins was the undisputed top guy on Raw, holding the World Heavyweight Championship with pride and momentum. Cody Rhodes had finished the story by defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and was now carrying the undisputed WWE Championship on SmackDown. CM Punk? Still off the radar after a mysterious, injury-related absence that many thought might end his career for good. Roman Reigns? Missing since WrestleMania, presumed to be on hiatus or headed toward part-time status. That was the frame. Now? That frame is on fire. And nobody, not even Triple H or WWE management on screen, has stepped in to calm it down. Because they can't. This isn't a storyline. This is a system reboot. Let's talk belts. The main titles now feel less like prizes and more like weapons of leverage in a war of ideologies. Rollins holds the World Heavyweight Championship, but the value of that title is now under siege. Reigns, despite being beltless, still carries the aura of the one true champion, the former undisputed king. Punk isn't chasing a title, at least not yet. He's chasing relevance, presence, purpose. So the stakes aren't just about gold. They're about what that gold means. For Rollins, it's legitimacy. For Reigns, it's dominance. For Punk, it's validation. Or sabotage. And all three men see the others as illegitimate in their own way. This opens up something WWE hasn't had in years, a narrative triangle where the belt is the center, but the real fight is about power, truth, and identity. With Cody locked on SmackDown and Roman now clearly operating on Raw soil, whether officially drafted or not, the Red brand has transformed from the workhorse show into ground zero for the next era of WWE. Why? Because it's no longer a question of who's next. It's a question of who survives. Raw's main event scene has never felt so volatile, Punk, unpredictable and outside the system. Reigns, aggressive and unchained. Rollins, defending both his belt and his role as the guy. And that's before you even factor in wildcards like Gunther, who's slowly building toward main event territory. Drew McIntyre, always one turn away from a title feud. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso, all with deep connections to the players involved. WWE has stacked the chessboard. And now Raw is the arena where every piece matters, not just the kings. Here's the million-dollar booking dilemma. If Reigns and Punk are now circling Seth Rollins, what becomes of the World Heavyweight Championship? Let's look at the scenarios. Scenario A, triple threat collision. This seems inevitable. A triple threat match at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, with all three battling for the title in a match where the belt is both a trophy and a symbol. This allows WWE to avoid choosing between Punk versus Reigns just yet. It also lets Rollins potentially retain without pinning either of them. Maintaining credibility. High drama, high crowd investment, and full-circle emotional payoff. Scenario B, Punk takes out Roman first. Punk may remove Roman from the equation temporarily with a sneak attack or injury angle, making it a one-on-one with Rollins. This gives US a more traditional feud, the veteran outsider versus the system-approved champion. Time to build to Roman versus Punk after the title picture settles. Scenario C, Reigns doesn't care about the title. This would be bold. WWE could choose to keep Roman outside the title hunt, portraying him as a king without a crown, focused on erasing Seth, not dethroning him. This creates a dual arc, Reigns versus Rollins, personal, brutal, unsanctioned feud. Punk versus Rollins, the title feud. Both can run parallel and even intertwine later. This is a big question WWE hasn't touched yet. Cody Rhodes is the undisputed WWE champion, over on SmackDown. He beat Reigns clean. Finished the story. But his victory now looks strangely separate from everything going on. That's intentional. By keeping Cody off Raw and away from this current triangle, WWE is protecting both the finished story and delaying the Cody vs. Punk or Cody vs. Rollins dream matches. This gives them room to breathe. But make no mistake, Cody will be pulled into this eventually. If Roman wins the Raw title, a champion vs. champion match is inevitable. If Punk defeats Rollins, Cody vs. Punk becomes a generational main event. If Rollins holds firm and Cody continues to dominate, the two may clash at Survivor Series or even WrestleMania 42. The roadmaps are open, and that's the beauty of it. In wrestling history, there have been rare moments when three names defined a time period: Austin, Rock, and Triple H in the early 2000s. Cena, Batista, and Orton in the mid-2000s. Right now, WWE is building a Rollins-Reigns-Punk trinity for the modern era. Each man represents a distinct part of WWE's identity: Rollins, the loyal architect, the in-ring machine, the modern-day champ. Reigns, the dominant force, the legacy name, the crossover star. Punk, the rebel, the returner, the voice of discontent. Together, they're not just main eventers, they're the philosophical divide WWE wants fans to pick sides over. And it's working. One whisper in online circles: could WWE be teasing another title unification match? Think about it. Reigns returns and doesn't chase a brand. Punk refuses to operate within the typical Raw/SmackDown lanes. Cody and Rollins both hold world titles, and now exist in the same timeline. While WWE won't rush this, it's not out of the question that by WrestleMania 42, we see another title-for-title situation, especially if Triple H wants to solidify one singular top belt for the post-Reigns era. But to do that, someone has to clean house first. And right now, there's too much chaos for unification to be clean. Here's how upcoming events could unfold: Money in the Bank 2025, Triple Threat, Rollins vs. Punk vs. Reigns, or Rollins vs. Punk, with Roman lurking. SummerSlam 2025, Roman vs. Punk one-on-one? Rollins defending against the MITB winner? Survivor Series 2025, Brand Warfare, Cody leading SmackDown, Rollins leading Raw, with Punk refusing to choose a side. Royal Rumble 2026. Punk or Reigns wins the Rumble to set up a true main event arc for Mania. WWE has opened so many doors, and closed none. And that's the genius. When the top tier gets stacked, the mid-card either rises, or drowns. This storyline has massive implications for names like Gunther, who has arguably earned his way into the top tier. Braun Breaker, who might emerge as a dark horse threat. LA Knight, Grayson Waller, Carmelo Hayes, all hungry. All capable. But stuck just beneath the ceiling. The question: can they find a role inside this Reigns-Punk-Rollins triangle, or will they be orbiting it until someone exits? One thing's clear: WWE's next breakout star will emerge from this chaos. Because the spotlight is wide, and the fans are paying attention. Forget the old system. This isn't about contenders climbing the rankings. This is about forces of nature rewriting the rules, and one championship holding the entire show hostage. The World Heavyweight title is no longer a prop. It's a battleground. Rollins holds it. Reigns wants it gone. Punk might not even care, he just wants to burn the whole throne down. And WWE? They're letting it all happen. Because for the first time in years, the main event isn't just about belts. It's about control. You could feel it in the air during the second hour of Raw: tension, fatigue from the emotional whiplash of Roman and Punk's returns. The crowd needed a release. What they got instead was an eruption. Rusev vs. Otis wasn't announced in advance. No weeks of build-up. No promo packages. Just a backstage scuffle shown in passing, a quick shove, a hold me back moment, then boom, match made. Right now. In the ring. No rules needed. No story required. Just two massive, powerful men colliding for one reason: because violence is a language too. From the moment the bell rang, it was clear this wouldn't be a traditional bout. No lockup. No chain wrestling. No pacing. Just meat slamming into meat. Otis charged first. A full-body avalanche into Rusev, who barely staggered. Rusev answered with a spinning heel kick that knocked Otis flat. The crowd stood up like they'd just witnessed a street fight in the parking lot, and in many ways, they had. This wasn't wrestling. It was war. So many WWE matches are polished, clean, slick. This wasn't. This was sloppy in the right way. Gritty. Uncoordinated at times. Because when two men of this size and style are in the ring, precision isn't the point, impact is. Highlights included Rusev suplexing Otis off the second rope. A near 600-pound collapse. Otis catching Rusev mid-kick and turning it into a corner powerbomb. Both men rolling out of the ring and continuing to fight at ringside, with no concern for countouts. At one point, Otis whipped Rusev into the steel steps so hard, the bottom half of the steps separated and slid 6 feet across the floor. The crowd loved it. Not because it was flashy. Because it was honest. Raw violence, executed with force, without frills. That chant, "This is awesome," is usually reserved for multi-man spot fests, technical clinics, or long-form storytelling matches. Not this time. Fans chanted it mid-match, not after a near fall, but after a double clothesline that left both men on the mat for nearly 15 seconds. Because the fans got it. They weren't watching a match. They were watching territory get claimed. Rusev wasn't just trying to beat Otis. Otis wasn't just trying to prove he belonged. They were both out to prove that the mid-card is not a soft zone anymore. Not when chaos is bleeding into the top of the card. Let's talk about Rusev for a second. He came back to WWE last year, no longer Moreau, no longer lost in AEW's shuffle, and since returning, he's slowly rebuilt himself brick by brick. But this match? This was the foundation shaker. Rusev didn't just look tough. He looked unhinged. His facial expressions were feral. His strikes were loose but full of malice. His grunts, his pacing between moves, everything felt like a predator circling prey. When he locked in the accolade near the end of the match, you could hear the crowd groan, not in disappointment, but in sympathy. Otis didn't tap. He passed out. Ref stoppage. And Rusev stood over him, chest heaving, sweat flying off his body as he roared into the hard cam like an animal who didn't win, but conquered. Let's not forget the other half. Otis took a beating in this match, a real one. But he gave it back in spades. He bodied Rusev around the ring in ways few ever have. He showed stamina. He showed grit, not comedy. There was no caterpillar spot. No tag team shtick. Just Otis, stripped down, functioning like a tank that refused to fall apart. In defeat, he gained something he's never really had in WWE before, credibility. Not funny big guy credibility. Real, violent, you don't want to mess with me again credibility. And that might be his true turning point. This wasn't a filler match. This was a signal flare. WWE is re-establishing its mid-card division as a zone of danger, not just a waiting room for the main event. Rusev vs. Otis told the world, if you're not fighting at the top of the card, you'd better be willing to die in the middle of it. And it worked. The match trended on social media. Clips went viral. Fans and even some wrestlers praised the simplicity, violence, and emotion of the match. At Fightful, Rusev vs. Otis might be the best 8-minute brawl WWE has aired all year. No fluff. No flips. Just fists. That's what WWE needed. A reminder that not all storytelling needs microphones. Sometimes, fists speak louder than words. So where does Rusev go from here? There are 2 clear paths. 1, IC title feud. He's more than ready. Gunther has moved up. The IC title is in flux. Rusev could step in and become a monster champion, defending against up-and-comers and building dominance. 2. Unhinged destroyer. Rusev could remain outside the title scene, just showing up to wreck people. Think 2002 Brock Lesnar, pre-title. Just a force of destruction that keeps the roster afraid and the crowd guessing. Either way, he's made his statement, I'm not here to be a nostalgia act. I'm here to maim people. And Raw is better for it. If WWE is paying attention, and the crowd tells us they are, Otis has real solo potential now. He doesn't need to drop the Alpha Academy completely, but this version of Otis? It's got depth. He's not just a body. He's a story. A bruiser with surprising agility, emotional range, and a look that's entirely his own. If WWE lets him ride this wave, he could be the next Bam Bam Bigelow type, a big guy with soul and ferocity. In a show dominated by world-class returns, historic feuds, and storytelling fireworks, Rusev vs. Otis still carved out its own place. Because sometimes, you don't need the drama. Sometimes you just need a ring. 2 monsters. And a reason to fight. And that's exactly what they gave us. 8 minutes. No commercials. No fluff. Just a damn good fight. Rusev vs. Otis wasn't the headline. It wasn't even a co-main. But it was a reminder, to fans and to talent, that violence, when done right, is still one of the most effective storytelling tools in wrestling. Rusev looked like a beast reborn. Otis looked like a warrior worth watching. And WWE showed the world that the mid-card still matters, maybe more than ever. Because if the top of the card is waging war with words, the middle is waging war with war. And that makes Raw more dangerous and exciting than it's been in years. It happened late in the 3rd hour of Raw, after the smoke of Reigns and Punk had mostly cleared, and the crowd thought the chaos was done for the night. No theme song. No Titantron flash. Just a camera cut to the top of the entrance ramp, and there he was. Jey Uso. Wearing all black. No words. No mic. No grin. Just standing. Watching. And somehow, that quiet appearance hit harder than any steel chair shot. Jey Uso doesn't need pyro. He doesn't need to talk. Because in the post-Bloodline era, Jey has become something more than a tag team guy or a family member. He's become a symbol of rebellion. Of emotional trauma. Of freedom and the cost of it. So when he showed up, eyes locked on the ring, everyone watching had the same thought, who is he here for? That's what made the moment brilliant. There were no clear cues. No heel turn. No embrace. Just ambiguity. Let's break it down. He looked at the ring, where Seth Rollins stood post-match. He didn't blink when Punk's return was replayed on the Jumbotron. He didn't move when Roman Reigns' music played in a replay package. It was like Jey was surveying everything, and judging all of them. This isn't just a random cameo. Jey Uso carries baggage, and the fans know it. He was Roman Reigns' first victim when the bloodline began. He was manipulated, broken, humiliated, then elevated. He became main event Jey Uso, not by being chosen, but by being used. And when he finally broke free in 2023, super-kicking Roman in the face, fans saw it as vindication. But now? Now he's watching Roman walk back in, untouched, confident, dangerous. That has to mean something. And it's clear Jey isn't over it. His body language told the story. Arms at his sides, not clenched in fists. Eyes scanning, not locked in aggression. Expression neutral, but heavy with thought. He didn't come to fight. He came to observe. Which, in WWE, is often more dangerous than coming to attack. Because it means Jey is calculating. And when he calculates, people get hurt, sometimes emotionally, sometimes physically, always deeply. This is where the storytelling possibilities multiply. Option A, Jey joins Rollins. He and Seth have history. Respect. Both are ex-Bloodline and ex-Shield. Jey wants to stand with the system, not against it. Option B, Jey aligns with Punk. Both are anti-authority, anti-Roman. Punk respects loyalty and rebellion. Jey could be Punk's enforcer in a bigger war. Option C, Jey confronts Reigns. The most personal story. Jey confronts his abuser and refuses to let him rewrite the narrative. It builds to Reigns versus Jey 2, this time on Raw, not SmackDown. Option D, Jey burns everyone. The swerve. Jey attacks all three in the coming weeks. I ain't fighting for none of y'all. I'm fighting for me now. This version of Jey would be the most dangerous, unpredictable, independent, ruthless. Sometimes, the WWE Universe needs to be spoon-fed. But not this time. The moment Jey showed up, you could feel the hush. It wasn't confusion. It was anticipation. Fans were leaning forward, asking themselves, is this the moment he chooses a side? When he didn't? That made it even better. Because Jey's silence was louder than words. And the fans respect that now. He doesn't have to explain himself. His presence alone speaks volumes. Let's not downplay this. Jey Uso has had one of the most compelling character evolutions in modern WWE. He went from tag team sidekick to reluctant bloodline soldier to Roman's right-hand man to rebel to lone wolf. And now? He's in between. Not heel. Not face. Not forgiven. Not bitter. Just human. And WWE is smart enough to let that play out. Right now, everyone's watching the Reigns Punk-Rollins triangle. But if Jey steps in? The whole equation changes. He has personal history with Roman. He's fought side by side with Seth. He might be drawn to the chaos that Punk represents. He knows all their weaknesses. He knows where the bodies are buried. So if Jey decides to act, nobody is safe. This wasn't filler. This wasn't get him on screen for crowd pop content. This was layering. A strategic move by WWE to plant seeds, knowing that fans who understand story will notice the implications. By not giving us a payoff in the moment, WWE just bought itself weeks of speculation. And that speculation keeps Raw hot every single week. That's master storytelling. According to various wrestling outlets, Jey's brand status is currently undetermined. He was on SmackDown. Then NXT for a hot minute. Then Raw. Then injured. Now? He's free-floating, like a ghost with a grudge. And WWE wants it that way. Because if you don't know where Jey's loyalty lies, you have to watch every week to find out. Within 15 minutes of Jey's appearance, Jey Uso trended in the top 5 in the US. Fan theories flooded the timeline. Jey's gonna join Punk. They're both anti-Roman as hell. Nah, Jey's gonna save Rollins at MITB. It's gonna be like when Shield saved Bryan. Watch Jey superkick all of them and walk out like an absolute menace. The common thread? Everyone cared. That's the mark of a character who's truly over, even when he says nothing. Jey Uso didn't say a word. Didn't throw a punch. Didn't shake a hand. He just stood there. And somehow, that silence shifted the temperature of Raw. Because in a world of factions, feuds, and face turns, Jey's biggest power right now is this: nobody knows where he stands. And when nobody knows where you stand, everybody fears your next step. Let's rewind for a second. One episode of Monday Night Raw. One arena in Phoenix, Arizona. And in the span of just 3 hours, the WWE landscape was ripped apart and rebuilt, live, in front of a stunned, screaming crowd and millions watching worldwide. Roman Reigns returned, not to beg for his kingdom back, but to declare a new war. CM Punk reappeared, silently, powerfully, and with no intention of playing nice. Seth Rollins found himself surrounded, targeted, and tested, but still standing. Rusev and Otis delivered a savage match that reminded everyone violence still matters. Jey Uso made his presence known, no words, no alliances, just an unpredictable silence that said more than any promo could. The locker room didn't explode, but it cracked. And those cracks are growing. This wasn't just an episode of Raw. It was a turning point. For years, WWE operated in a kind of structure: babyfaces versus heels, contenders climbing ladders, title feuds with clean arcs. But now? That system has been overrun by chaos agents. Roman Reigns doesn't care about rules. He cares about dominance. CM Punk doesn't care about gold. He cares about making a statement and leaving scars. Seth Rollins? He's the one person who does care about legacy, truth, and title, and that makes him both vulnerable and dangerous. 3 men. 3 purposes. 0 trust. And in the middle of it all, a championship. A locker room. A company teetering between order and collapse. This is no longer about face or heel. It's about control versus anarchy. And every wrestler, every manager, every fan now has to pick a side, or get crushed trying to stay neutral. Here's what makes this story so powerful: it's not just about wrestling. It's about what happens when power returns to the room. When legends walk back in, things shift, the air changes. The politics get sharper. The expectations rise. And every decision, every stare, every promo, every silence becomes loaded with possibility. That's what Raw gave us on May 5th. Not just entertainment, but the feeling that anything can happen again. The unpredictability that defined wrestling's greatest eras? It's back. Let's be clear, SmackDown still has Cody Rhodes. The Bloodline saga continues. The undisputed championship is in good hands. But Raw? Raw has become the most volatile show in wrestling. Because no one, not even the commentators, knows what's going to happen next. Will Reigns attack Rollins next week? Will Punk finally speak? Will Jey Uso strike, and if so, who? Will someone else step into the fire? You don't know. And that's why you'll watch. Looking ahead, here's what we might see unfold over the coming weeks and months: a triple threat feud that leads into Money in the Bank, with all 3 men trying to outmaneuver one another. Jey Uso throwing a wrench in the entire plan, choosing a side, or burning them all. Rusev becoming a true mid-card monster, maybe even winning a title before year's end. Young stars like Gunther, Braun Breaker, or Carmelo Hayes stepping into the chaos and stealing the spotlight. Cody Rhodes watching from SmackDown, but knowing this storm is eventually coming for him, too. We're in the early chapters of something big. And if WWE plays this right, we're watching the start of the most compelling power struggle since the Attitude Era. Wrestling works best when it's more than moves. When it feels like you're watching something real. Something earned. Something that speaks to bigger things: ego, control, identity, rebellion. On May 5th, WWE gave us that. They gave us a show that reminded us that power can walk back through the curtain at any time. That silence can be more threatening than 1,000 promos. That violence, when earned, means something. That unpredictability is still the best booking strategy there is. This episode of Raw didn't just deliver moments. It delivered momentum. Now it's your turn. Let's hear it in the comments. Who do you want to see walk out as champion in this 3-way power war: Reigns, Punk, or Rollins? Do you think Jey Uso is going to be a savior, or a saboteur? Is Raw the best it's been in years, or is the chaos just beginning? Smash that like button if you think WWE just flipped the script. Hit subscribe if you want weekly breakdowns of every moment, every feud, every shock. Drop your predictions, fantasy booking, and theories below. Let's light up that comment section. We started this video with a question: what happens when Roman Reigns and CM Punk walk into the same ring on the same night? Now we have an answer. Everything changes. And the only thing we know for sure? Nothing is safe anymore. Welcome to Raw. Welcome to chaos. And welcome to the next era of WWE.